first attack by having no idea what was going on with Al-Qaeda. You just admitted that when you were hit on 9/11, you just said we didn't know who hit us. You said we didn't know who hit us. You were told who was going to hit you before we were hit.
The season Karachi and the 9/11 attacks. After the CIA, can I get a word?
Wait, let's stop.
After the CIA took over, no attacks, no attacks.
We're going to break right now. We're going to break right now. We'll be right back, and I'm going to be interviewing Mark by myself. We'll be right back.
That didn't work out too well.
Good television.
You know what, though? The thing is, you need the crazy uncle at Thanksgiving dinner.
No.
Because you can talk about it the rest of the year.
Okay, fine. That's about it.
Is it a sin to love Lawrence O'Donnell as much as I do?
I love Lawrence. I've been asked so many questions about that segment wherever I go. And first thing I say is, I love Lawrence O'Donnell.
And by the way, Mark, we got Mark down in Washington, D.C. Mark Thiessen, who was being screened. You understand how I can love the train wreck. It's nothing personal against you, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I hope Lawrence is resting comfortably.
We have some medication going into his left arm.
Lawrence is in a cage off camera. We love him. So we thought, after this happened, why don't we have a thoughtful debate?
Sure.
And so we asked Jane Mayer to come on, and she wouldn't or couldn't. And then we asked Ali Soufan to come on, who writes an awful lot.
Right.
And he said he couldn't. But we have somebody that I think Ali may have suggested would be great on this issue as well.
Exactly. Here with us now, Director of Policy Analysis and Communications for the Soufan Group and former foreign policy analyst for Rudy Giuliani's Presidential Committee, Daniel Friedman. And of course, in Washington, D.C., former chief speechwriter and former President George W. Bush, Mark Thiessen, who's the author of Courting Disaster, How the CIA Kept America Safe and How Barack Obama is Inviting the Next Attack. He's also now a columnist with the Washington Post. Congratulations to that.
Something that they absolutely love at Daily Kos and the Huffington Post.
So I think Lawrence took issue with the title of his book.
So this is what we're going to do. We're going to start there and have a reasoned debate. I'm going to give a minute to each side, and then TJ, our director, will go like this and ring a bell, and then we'll, there you go, there we go, then we'll move on.
Good,
so Mark, it seems to me, especially since Colin Powell said yesterday it's not true that Barack Obama is making us less safe, that's a great place to start.
Sure.
Your book claims Barack Obama is making America less safe. How?
Absolutely. Well, he's eliminated the CIA's capability, the United States government's capability to hold and effectively interrogate senior terrorist leaders. And we're seeing this problem here right now in Pakistan with the capture of Mullah Baradar. This is the highest-ranking Taliban leader who is captured, has lots of information. According to the LA Times this weekend, the CIA is unsatisfied with his interrogation. It's been outsourced to the Pakistanis. We're not in control of it. And they've asked for him to be transferred to U.S. custody. The problem is we don't have any tools at our disposal anymore to compel the compel the cooperation of a resistant terrorist. During the CIA interrogation program, when we had people like Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, Abu Zubaydah, and others, we were able to use enhanced interrogation techniques to get them to cooperate, and it produced intelligence that stopped a series of terrorist attacks: an attack on our consulate in Karachi, an attack on our Marine camp in Djibouti, an attack on the library, attempted planned attack on the Library Tower in Los Angeles, the tallest building on the West Coast, and also a plan to repeat 9/11 in Europe.
Okay, and there's your bell. Daniel Friedman. Has Barack Obama made us less safe? By it sounds like Mark's biggest complaint is that we no longer have the tools to interrogate like we did before.
Well, I think his premise is wrong from the start. I mean, it's incorrect to think that before we had this CIA program, we weren't interrogating terrorists successfully. I've actually got a column on Forbes.com this morning that points out from the first case in 1987 when the FBI snatched Farwaz Yunus, who was a Lebanese terrorist off the coast of Cyprus. They read him his Miranda rights. They interrogated him over 4 days. He eventually signed a confession in Arabic. He only changed two things. He changed the spelling of one word, and he was convicted in a court. And now we've been doing this straight through. Now, the reality is that the program that Mark is championing is slow, unreliable, and ineffective. It didn't make us less safe. It actually made it more dangerous for us. Attacks that could have been stopped weren't, and the best people to do the interrogations were taken off the job.
Okay, Mark,
sure.
Let's do it this way, guys. Let's have a 30-second response.
Sure.
Go ahead, Mark.
What is slow and ineffective was the interrogation methods used by Dan's boss, Ali Soufan. The case in point of this is the interrogation of Mohammed Khatani in Guantanamo Bay. Ali Soufan was in charge of the interrogation of Guantanamo Bay, of Mohammed Khatani, and he got nothing from him. In fact, he got so frustrated that he, according to this Justice Department Inspector General's report, he got so frustrated with him, he put him in isolation in the Navy brig and threatened him in violation of FBI policy. And it was only after the military took over that we got any intelligence from him.
Okay, and there's your 30 seconds. Daniel, respond to that, if you will. He went after your boss, Ali Soufan.
Well, I think this is a problem that Mark has in general, is that he takes things out of context and he doesn't read the full documents. Now, I think he should be very careful when he's discussing Ali Soufan. Ali Soufan is an American hero. He has served our country in Iraq and Afghanistan. He went undercover as an al-Qaeda agent. The Department of Defense called him a valuable weapon in the war on terrorism. And now, in that same report that Mark's quoting from, somehow he misses the quote where Major Dunleavy describes Ali Soufan as a national treasure for all the confessions he got from terrorists. Now, what the terrorist actually said about Ali Soufan is that he had a sense of humanity. Now, that doesn't sound like someone who was...
Actually, what Mohammed Khatani said about Ali Soufan was that the worst thing that happened to him in Guantanamo Bay was being put in isolation by Ali Soufan. That is a direct quote from the report. But the report says, we note severe isolation of the type used on al-Qaeda for interrogation purposes would likely be considered coercive and contrary to FBI policies. The same may be true of the actual implied threats by Agent Thomas, which is the Ali Soufan. He also didn't get the information he claims to have gotten from Abu Zubaydah. According to this IG report and his interrogation partner, Agent Gibson, the CIA got that information. So Ali Soufan has been running down this program, but in fact his statements are false.
Now, Mark, okay, so Daniel, you work for him. I want to give you the last response. And by the way, Ali Soufan, a lot of Americans may not know who he is. He writes op-eds in the New York Times. I will tell you, he is a figure that is a heated debate. Guys at the CIA think he's the worst thing that's ever happened.
Exactly.
A lot of them do. But I'll tell you, there are other people who think he's the best thing that's happened. Your boss is at the center of a great debate. Go ahead. 30 seconds to defend your boss.
Well, again, I mean, if Mark would have just turned to the next page in the FBI report, it actually debunks that claim. I mean, Mark's relying on a terrorist account, but it actually says the logs recorded that he wasn't in isolation, and there were people coming in and out. So that's just not true. Now, with Abu Zubaydah, Mark is completely off here as well. Now, he's been debunked on many occasions. Most recently, the OPR report that was just released criticizes the poor information in the CIA memos that Mark quotes so as if it's gospel.
Okay, hold on, Mark. We're going to move on, and now we're going to go back to 1 minute. General Petraeus yesterday on Meet the Press said that we always pay the price when we go against our values, and the techniques in the Army Field Manual approved by Congress is just fine. Is that sufficient to get information we need from terrorists?
The Army Field Manual is sufficient for about 99% of people that are being questioned, and it should be used by the military. The problem is that when you have a high-value detainee like Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the Army Field Manual isn't going to work. First, the Army Field Manual is available on the internet, so the terrorists read it and train against it. Second of all, it is the highest standard of interrogation that we have. It's used for prisoners of war with full POW privileges. Terrorists don't get full POW privileges. Even the Obama administration admits that. And so law enforcement officers, district attorneys across the country have more tools at their disposal to question regular criminals